Hi, my name is Gary Bontrager. I am founder and CEO of Century Insurance. We are starting a podcast, and we're going to be highlighting business owners and talking about what has inspired them and what challenges they face and how they grow their businesses. Today we have the privilege of having Kaylee Seward with us. We're going to talk about how she started Eden Salon and that process of bringing stylists in as well as clients and what her biggest challenges and successes are. Well, Kaylee, I'm happy that you're here with us today. This is just going to be kind of a fun time getting to highlight your business, a little bit about you and where, what you've done, how you grew up. So can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yes. So I was actually born in Phoenix, but totally raised here. We moved here when I was a baby still. Grew up out in the country, just north of Wellman. Then my husband and I met in Mid-Prairie, so he was a few grades older than me. Stayed together through college. He went to the university, and I went to cosmetology school. And then we moved back to the area. I had been in North Liberty for a little while. And then we have 3 little girls. They're 8, 5, and 2. And yeah, here we are.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do? I mean, you own, I know, Eden Salon, yeah. But a little bit about the services and maybe how it started.
Yeah, so we opened 3 years ago. We're a full-service salon and spa, so we do, there are stylists there who do haircuts, colors, waxing. We have estheticians who do body waxing, facials, makeup, and then we have nail techs and massage therapists as well. And then we also specialize in weddings. We do a lot of weddings.
Okay.
That's one of our big things.
So when you were opening the salon, one thing is you're in a smaller town, yeah, and you do some unique things that probably didn't happen in that town before. And I know, looking at all of it, even from a business point of view, what were some of your considerations as far as, location?
So I had currently been working in Kelowna for about, 6 years. So I knew I wanted to stay in Kelowna. I love this community. And when we first started talking about opening, I knew I wanted someday a full service because we didn't have that in town. I had already had some clients coming from Iowa City, and I knew if we could just open something a little bit bigger and more services to offer, I think we could bring in more clientele from surrounding cities. But when we first opened, we started smaller. I got a little nervous when we were looking at properties and stuff. But the end goal in mind was just a full-service salon and spa. So I wanted, like I said, just that spa atmosphere, offering more for the clients. So I didn't want to leave Kelowna. This was my home. And actually, we had just moved to Kelowna a year before that. So when I was looking for areas, I loved the idea of just being local. My kids go to school down the street, and I just definitely wanted to stay in Kelowna. So it took us a little while to find this property. I don't know why. I just wanted to be like downtown. When I first opened, I just wanted to be downtown Kelowna, but then it was really busy, parking and everything. So then when we came out here to Belltown Plaza, I just fell in love. I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is where we're supposed to be. So,
excellent. A little bit that's interesting that I enjoy visiting with our clients, or my clients, are young business people, and the process or the thought process, how they put it all together, because there's obviously financing, insurance, and a lot of pieces that go into it. How was that process for you? I mean, what were some of the things hurdles you went through or processes?
At the beginning, it was a lot of, because the unit we ended up getting, there was no one in there before. So when I looked at it, it was like, we do the blueprints, had to find all the contractors, going through all of that, and then figuring out your budget and everything, talking to the bank, and then because I knew when we opened we wanted to be independent stylists. So then it was going through and making sure when we hired people, making sure they had the right insurance and all their license up to date, and just making sure all that was taken care of. So we were all doing everything correctly and working together. And because, we're all independent stylists, so even though they work at Eden, they're all in charge of their own hours and their own bookkeeping and taking care of all of that themselves. So it's my responsibility to make sure that they all have that up to date and ready to go.
So you basically create an environment for those folks to be self-employed and live their American dream.
Yes, live their dream without as much of the overhead. Yeah. So I had always done chair rental or independent styling. So I knew when I opened, that's what I wanted to do because that's all I've ever done. But I just wanted to create a team environment and make it a place where, like you said, they can follow their dreams without, the big expenses of buying a property, redoing it all. Just a little smaller scale, but yeah, able to run their own business with a bunch of other people. Because I find that being an entrepreneur, it can be a lonely world. It's a lot. It's like an emotional roller coaster. One day you're like, I'm on top of the world, I'm doing great, and the next you're like, I'm quitting, I give up. So I wanted a place where we could all work together and help each other reach our goals.
Kind of answered the next question as to what inspired you. I'm assuming that's kind of what it was.
Yeah,
to start
I think I was just ready I loved where I was at and the places I had been before. Because, at that point I had already been doing hair for like 6 or 7 years. And I was just ready for the next step. But I also am most people wouldn't believe it, I don't like change. I was very comfortable. I was not it's totally a God thing. I was just like, okay, I'm listening. I kept getting those nudges, you're ready for the next step, move on. But I don't like change at all. So it took a lot. And then when I finally just listened and got comfortable got out of my comfort zone and just went for it, then it felt so right.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that in you at all. I would see you as somebody, because you continue to change. You probably covered a little bit of this maybe in the area you're in, but what sets you apart in your business to why would people drive 15 miles south to Kelowna from Iowa City, or why do people even locals come to your salon? Because obviously you've got a unique niche.
Yeah, I feel like we're just a good team. We've got a good, we're always thriving to learn more and do better. Because like I said, since we're all independent, that was our number one goal, was to make sure I didn't want people to come in thinking, oh, I'm just coming to Kaylee's salon or to so-and-so. I wanted them to feel they're coming to Eden. They're coming to a full service salon and spa, and I didn't want it to be so independent that they felt like it was choppy or not a team environment, or competitive is the word. So I just feel like we're a really good team. We work great together. We're always pushing each other to stay on top of the trends. There's things always changing. So we're always going to classes together. We are always, just trying to better each other. I just feel like we always all help out with each other's clients. So when someone comes in, most people wouldn't know that we're all independent stylists. They just see us as a hardworking family team.
You bet. What motivates you to expand, and and then the second question to that, maybe do that one first, but the second question is, what keeps you from growing more?
I feel like sometimes it can be a bad thing. My brain just never shuts off. I'm just wired that way to when I finally did get out of that comfort zone, then it was okay, I'm going to keep dreaming. I just feel like I have a hard work ethic, and if I want it, I'm going to do it myself and move forward. So when we first opened, like I said, it was pretty small, and then right away, I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next one, but I held my horses, and I was like, okay, chill out, I want to make sure, even though I wanted to keep doing it and move forward and expand, I wanted to make sure we did it in the right order as well, and just took our time and didn't jump into it too quickly. But, yeah.
So what keeps you, though? There are things that hold you back. Is it space? Is it just manage? The business
side. A little
side?
bit. When I wanted to one time, we didn't feel like we were quite ready to have more stylists. Okay. So we didn't want to expand and then have more stylists and not have the clientele for it. Right. So when we first opened, I guess that was when we first found the unit, we had originally wanted to do them both right away. And then when we stepped back, we're like, well, let's just wait. Let's just do one. Mm-hmm. And then when a year and a half later, when I expanded again, I brought on a partner. So then we had help my husband and I, so we had help with making more business decisions, and I had help in the salon. So at that point, she was ready to join me as a partner, and then we were also ready for more clientele. So it just made sense to wait instead of doing it back in 2016. Okay. We waited until fall of 17.
So it's just more a timing thing. That
timing,
you try to make sure you're ready
make sure we're doing it in the right order and not getting too far ahead. And with our most recent expansion, we had wanted to do it. I'm trying to remember when it first came up. Well, probably when the unit became open, we were like, oh, we weren't quite, it always kind of had been a dream. When we first did the first expansion, I was like, oh, that unit's empty, we should do it. And then we were like, oh, not quite ready. We don't, again, we didn't think we had enough stylists. We had some girls that were fresh out of school, building their clientele. We didn't want to expand again and then have not enough clientele. And it actually worked out perfect, because then when we expanded for the second time, we were able to put a little storefront and do things exactly how we wanted to. Just waiting, but more of the timing and just making sure we had stylists for that clientele.
And tell us a little bit about that, because you added more services than what you had previously. Yeah. And so
that just happened, correct?
Yeah, just a few months ago, we opened our newest unit, but it's all still connected. It's all, you come through Eden and you can, there's a little boutique up front now that people can go in, and she's run on her own. So you can either go through the salon and spa, or she has her own storefront. And then we expanded our spa. So now we have more rooms, more services, and more that will be launching in 2020. Okay. So kind of rearranged the layout, and just, now we're able to offer a little more.
Okay. You want to tell us any more about what you're going to be launching, or is that still
a little secret? Yeah. Coming soon.
Sounds good.
It's good, though. People will be excited.
Here's a question that I like to ask a lot of business owners, because different things drive people differently. But how does competition influence you?
I've actually... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it can be, sometimes I think it can be, you feel like it's a negative thing, but yet it can be a positive thing. A lot of times people have, I know I have very friendly competition with some competitors.
Yeah, I feel like we just have the attitude of, like, there's always, competition is kind of what drives us. Like, you have to see, like, if other salons out there are really succeeding, you're like, okay, what are they doing that we're not? Or what could we do better? And then I feel like we just work really well with other salons too. Like I said, we do a lot of weddings. So sometimes a huge bridal party, we're going to need help. So we'll bring in other salons. And we'll do a lot of con ed classes with some friends of ours that own salons or work at salon and spas, either in the area or in Iowa City. But I just try to view it more as, like, not viewing it as a negative thing, viewing it as a positive. Like, what can you learn from them? And I even told some of the girls recently, I was like, don't view it as, like, someone trying to, like, a bad thing of competition. View it as, like, how can you build yourself up? How can you do better? Keeping you on your toes and keeping you the best you can be.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. We had talked about this a little bit, and maybe the question's a little out of order. But as far as why choosing Kelowna, I know you grew up here and all of that, but what I know when I was opening my offices, it was in my mind it would have worked better to be in a larger city where there's more people, because you feel like, and yet I've ended up in small towns. You have too. What was a little bit of the thought process behind that?
I bet it probably crossed my mind just a little bit of, like, oh, should we go somewhere else? I mean, I had been here for 6 years, but then the more I thought about it, I could see Kelowna was growing. Other businesses were coming into town and thriving, and I knew I wanted to open the full service. So I was like, you know what? I think we can do this. Like, in Kelowna, I think it could hold up, and it's done really well. People have responded well, and what I love most is, like, when our Iowa City clients do come here, they're like, I love the small town feel, but you still get the big city services and customer service. So I love that. Like, when people say that, I'm like, okay, this was meant to be. We're supposed to be here. So
visions of the future. Where does, I know maybe it's hard to talk about, but I'm thinking kind of in generalities. I know sometimes I visit with business folks and they're going, we want to create franchises. We want to maybe have multiple locations. Maybe we just want to have one large kind of a destination. You can come in and spend half a day here.
Yeah. So I know we've talked about, because we did just expand, but I'm always, like, dreaming about the future. Like, what could we do better? I think in the future, I would love to see a few more stylists there, and just because right now we have a great team, but we don't want them to be burnt out. I don't want them working crazy hours. So we'd like to see it more in shifts, like and be open maybe 6 to 7 days a week. Have people there all the time, but not the same stylist. Because, again, I don't want them to get burnt out. It's a really hardworking industry. So it's like, I don't want them to be frazzled and burnt out by the end of the day. So maybe just eventually down the road, adding a few more new services will be coming, and then just have more hours available to customers that maybe can't come currently when we're open.
And I'm sure in a salon it works this way. I know it does in my business. When you interact with people all day, It's interesting how much energy that seems to
Oh,
take
yes.
to be on your A game.
Yes, yeah.
So I can see what you're saying with stylists having,
Yeah.
because when you're there, you're just having that one-on-one contact
Yep.
the entire time. So I can see that could be difficult.
Yeah.
And weekends, I think, would be a really nice add to it as well.
Oh, totally. Because, right now it's like the newer stylists, I'm like, you want to work nights and weekends. That's when people can come in. But, I think if we could just eventually, if they could cut down their hours a little bit and have a few more stylists working on their off shifts, that would.
So one of the things that, as we're talking here, that comes to my mind a little bit, and with some previous conversation before we started, you talked a little bit about maybe when you can structure it where you can have a little better flexibility.
Yeah.
So some of that, obviously, as you grow, is you're going to be more into management and maybe not so much hands-on as far as doing hair. How, I mean, is that kind of where you seeing yourself go with some of that?
Totally. Like, I'm not ready to not do hair anymore. I love it. It's definitely, and that's like the art side of my job. I love that.
Right.
But I knew opening the business part, I'd have to eventually, the bigger we get, every time I'm like, okay, this means I have more book work, more stuff like that to keep track of. More of the management side. So we will now have an office, which will be a saving grace. That'll be so nice. Just have a space to get that stuff done, and then I can go back out and work with my clients. But I definitely more the behind the scenes stuff has been going on just with opening.
And I know that evolves for me, myself as well, and it's just kind of interesting because you find yourself all of a sudden doing certain things and going, okay, something's got to change here.
Totally, yeah.
To make that work. One thing as a business owner, obviously we talked about a little bit, but you have things then on the business side you have to deal with, such as banking, insurance, even maybe your credit card machines.
Yep.
What are the things that you look for in those vendors that you work with and partner with?
Definitely personable. Like one thing, like when we opened, you guys were great. Next door answered all of our questions. I'm pretty sure I sent so many emails. Definitely just like you knew your stuff. When we had questions, they were answered. Customer service was huge to us, looking for all those vendors and reviews. We looked online or talked to other people, word of mouth. But I would say that for sure.
Okay. And then banking, I assume, is somewhat the same.
Yeah, definitely. We stayed local with that too.
Yep.
Customer service is hands down the best.
Yep. And one of the things that I enjoy is talking to young business owners, because obviously you're in a different generation than I am, so you have a different window, I would say, to look at the world than I do. So that's kind of fun to talk about some of those. My generation still, a lot of us like to go in and sit down and visit with folks.
Yeah.
We're seeing that change a lot. So, like, what's a preferred method for you to be able to communicate with?
I mean, I love the technology side of things, but then I still feel like, and especially in my job right now, it's like we do still have that sitting down one-on-one conversation. Like, we don't want to lose that. So sometimes, we've had brides like FaceTime us still, or a lot of our communication is email or text message or social media. But we still love that one-on-one, sit down, talk with them, because I just think that's hard to beat.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. Looking forward to this airing, and hope you have nothing but success going forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.